Hello guys, today we are going to be discussing about CSS, and we are going to be covering the basics of what you need to know about CSS. So without wasting much time, what is CSS? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It is used to style elements on our web page. That is the use of CSS. CSS backed up with HTML. CSS is used to beautify, give color to our web page. It does animation and a lot of things, guys. CSS describes how HTML elements are to be displayed on screen, paper, or in other media. For instance, have you ever downloaded something, like you downloaded something the from a website into a hard copy, and then you realize it's still maintaining the fonts from how you saw it online or through the soft copy, maybe the font size, the font family, how it looks like in the soft copy. CSS does this work. That is the work of CSS. It arranges and give margin and padding to everything. So CSS is used for decoration basically. So that is one of the things you need to know about CSS. CSS can control the layout of multiple web pages all at once. For instance, you can create a lot of web pages, and a single CSS can be used to style all those web pages. So when you are going deeper into CSS, you are going to learn all this. So for now, you just have to keep that in mind, so when you are using it in the future, you understand that you once learned it in a video or something. So you have to pay attention to what you are going to do. Before we dive into anything, you have to know that you must have a basic knowledge of HTML. That's one of the most important things. I do tell people you can work with HTML alone, but you can't work with CSS alone. Now let me break it down for you. You can create a web page using HTML, and you can still host that web page online. But the only thing is that web page will not be as beautiful as when you combine it with CSS. So CSS is so important. For instance, imagine creating a web page using HTML without using media query in CSS. When you try to open your website using laptop, iPad, phone, and all that, it will become so difficult for you to handle those stuff. But CSS will make those things more easier for you to handle it, and in a very easy way. So CSS is so important. Yes, you can do without it. From my own perspective, you can do without CSS, but it's advisable you learn CSS. You must merge it. So as a web developer, you need to know CSS. Okay, let's dive into the practical aspect of what we have been explaining. So first of all, we have created our HTML. I told you already that you have to have a basic knowledge of HTML. So after creating our HTML file, we're going to be creating a CSS file. So we are going to be calling this file style.css. And after creating that file, as you can see here, VS Code created a file for us, and we can't work with this file yet because we haven't connected it with the HTML file. So what we should do here, you go to the header tag in our HTML, and then you type link, and then you type rel, then you put style sheets here, and after that you go into href, and then you call the name of your file. Now we have linked the CSS to our HTML. So now let's see if this works. So we can go to our CSS, and let's try to change the background color of our web page. So we'll call the body. After calling the body, we're going to be giving it a background color of red. Let's see if this works. Yeah, it worked. So you can see what CSS is doing. CSS can be used to beautify our web page, give colors to our text, set font size, and all that. With time, you are going to learn a lot about CSS. So as you can see here, CSS styled the body of our web page. So we are going to be working with few tags here. So let's dive into creating a div, and we are going to call in this div box. So we give this div, a class name of box, and in this div we are having a paragraph which will be inputting a text. Let's just say hello world. This is a regular word for all programmers. So we have created a box, and inside that box we are having a paragraph. So let's go to style this box. So first of all, in our CSS we can call in a class element by, first of all, you are going to press dot and then the name of that class. We name it box. So we are going to be giving this box a width of 200 pixel and then a height of 200 pixel. Now we have created that box, but you won't see the box yet because there's nothing to show the appearance yet. Like we haven't given it a background color or a border or something like that. So let's give it a border yet and see. Let's give it a border 1px solid black. So we gave this box a border. As you can see, this is our div, the div we created from our HTML. As you can see, both CSS and HTML are working hand in hand. So you can do without CSS, and CSS can't do without HTML. Of course, I explained earlier that you can create a web page by using HTML alone, but just imagine it won't be that good. Imagine working with your skeleton alone. Oh my. So as you can see here, we just decorated our box. You can do other things, like you can set the background color of your box to, let's just say, purple. You can see the background color is on purple. So now we are going to be calling on that paragraph. You can also set the color and font size of a text using CSS. So we're going to be giving this text a color of, let's say, white. As you can see, the hello world changes to white. You can see the power of CSS. You can build all beauty you are seeing in a web page are all done by CSS. Yes, that is the importance of CSS. Just imagine me posting hello world, just an ordinary hello world without any beauty on the web page. Who knows? You know, CSS, I don't know. Yeah, you can see, like, for instance, we do use human anatomy to explain the whole thing. For instance, your bone is the HTML, your skin and all other parts of you that makes you look like you, the CSS, and then your life is JavaScript. So we won't go into JavaScript yet, so let's work with CSS. So let's increase the font size, so let me just say 10 pixel. As you can see, it's reduced the font size. Let's increase it. Let's try to increase it. As you can see, I set it to 40 pixel, and as you can see, the hello world has been increased because we increased the font size to 40 pixel. Now you can see the power of CSS. CSS is used for decoration in our web page. So now let's go into setting the font family. I love using Vandana, but then I don't like the font style. As you can see, this is the font style for Vandana. As you can see, we have different font family, but I'm just trying to show you the power of CSS in our web page. CSS can be used to do a lot of things. So with time, we'll be creating more videos to unlock more powers of CSS. I just want to give you a hint of what CSS can do. There are different ways of using CSS. What we just did, we call it an external way of using CSS. You can also do all these things in our web, in our HTML, but there's what we call this, the inline CSS. So without wasting more time, we'll go to our HTML, and then you put style, and then we want to create a width of 200 pixel. Same thing we did in our CSS, and then a height of 200 pixel, and then a background color of purple. As you can see, same thing worked here. This is what we call an inline CSS. It can also be used in place of our external CSS, but it's more preferable. Just imagine you're packing all your file in one place. You know, it will be more presentable and more clearer if you code your HTML in one file and then code your CSS in another file. which is very important. So there's another way, we call it an internal style or an internal way of writing CSS. So in this, you go to your header and then you write style. After writing style, you close it, and then you call your body. After calling the body of your web page, set the background color to orange. Let us use orange this time. As you can see, we have three ways of using CSS. We have the internal, we have the inline, and then we have the external. But most people prefer using the external way, the external style, the external way of using CSS. But you can also use any, it's your choice. But my own advice is, whenever you are using mobile to code, not everyone can afford laptop. Whenever you are using mobile to code, it's more preferable you use internal style, the internal way of CSS. But if you are using laptop, it's more preferable you use the external. So as you can see, these are the basic explanation of CSS. So we just want to unlock and introduce CSS to you, but with time we are going to be introducing you to more syntax in CSS. CSS is so broad, but don't worry, we are going to be covering that in a short while. We are going to be creating more videos, so keep tuned while you follow us up to being a greater web developer. See you guys in our next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.